And we are live. Andy, how are you today?
Me, personally, myself, I'm
Yeah.
doing great. How are you, Josh?
So good. So good. You got a sweet Zelda book behind you. Like the Zelda
Yeah.
encyclopedia.
Oh, that was my first video game. So
Okay. You got a
suffice to say, it's my favorite series for sure.
looks like the Millennium Falcon's about to crash into it, so watch out.
Yeah, those guys compete for my attention constantly. So
I love it. I love it. New Zelda Amiibo announced today.
oh yeah?
Yeah, it's actually
What
Zelda.
what amiibo? Oh no
Zelda
way.
and I don't remember what it's called. The bird from
From Breath of the Wild?
no, Skyward Sword. Hang on, I got their press email right here. Loftwing is his name. Yeah. So
Oh, who could forget about Loftwing?
yeah, right, exactly.
Oh my gosh, one of the series' greatest.
Exactly. So, should we get started here?
Let's do it.
Ready to rock this thing?
Always.
Here we go. It is the Xbox Now podcast. This is going to be a weekly news show that happens live on YouTube. We're shooting for 8 a.m. Pacific. I guess that'd be 11 Eastern. I'm your host,
Yeah.
Josh Schmidt. I've got Andy with me. He's going to be a regular here. What's going on?
You know, excited to be here. It's a great time to be alive. The sun's out. We've got, I don't know. I think back to the last generation of Xbox and now the amount of news that has come out in the last week. And I think that has surpassed even what was happening over the last 8 years. And so to have this amount of content to talk about even before E3 is just really exciting. So I'm pumped.
Quick question. Who wins in a fist fight? Doomslayer or Master Chief?
Oh, you're going to put me like that? Oh, right off the bat? Yeah, okay. So there's just two really great camps of people who are going to immediately decide whether they like me or not. Cool.
I gave you no warning on this one. I was just like, I got the question for him. So here you go.
And here's the thing is I knew it in my gut as soon as you said it. It's Master Chief for me, personally. I know that Doom Guy has been literally to hell and back, and that's pretty impressive. There's just something about the stoicism of John, 117 that I can't give up. So where do you land? I'm going to flip this on you, put you in hot water right quick.
So I would say as Doomslayer makes his, the fatal blow, he is stuck with a sticky nade, and they end in a draw. How about that?
Oh, okay. I'll let you get away with this that time. All right. See how you leave with me. That's great.
I think that works. I think that works.
Yeah, sure. And everyone, just coincidentally, both fan bases are really still okay with you. So that's great.
Yeah.
Gotta start at a loss. I get it. Yep.
So let's jump into the news. We got Starfield. Let's just start there.
Yeah.
Starfield has been on everybody's mind, their Twitters, it's just it is the most talked about exclusive that we have no idea what it actually is. There's a handful of screenshots from 2018, and what do we know? What do we know about this title?
Well, I think the first thing that we know is it's competing with Elden Ring with the most amount of hype for the least amount of information of what it actually is. Although I do think Elden Ring might win out in that situation. But, over the last couple of years since it's been announced, we've gotten some cool information via Todd Hauer. He's been in interviews, and the details are sparse, but we do know that it's a single-player adventure set in space during a time where space travel is still dangerous, so it feels a little bit more grounded. And It shares DNA with the other pillars of Bethesda games like Fallout and Elder Scrolls, but with new systems. And so, I'm really excited about this game, but the fact that we don't have a lot of details leaves a lot to the imagination. I'm curious about, your hype levels, what you think this might be, and what it has to be to succeed.
I mean, I just continually go back to Skyrim in space, right? And so if that's what it was at its core, my hype levels are, over 9,000, right? Like I'm all about it. Like, here's the interesting thing about me. I've never played any of the Fallout games, so I like. It's for me, Bethesda is Doom, Wolfenstein, Skyrim. That pretty much sums it up for me. So so I would be excited to, be in a new world with in an RPG. And I mean, I want to say you could probably liken it a little bit. We don't know. But I'm assuming we're going to get some Mass Effect vibes from it, right? And if that's the case, again, I'm in 100%.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, thinking about this game, I mean, the amount of hype that's coming into it, the amount of time they've spent on it, and how little we know about it makes me feel like, especially in light of what happened with Fallout 76's launch, they want to have all their ducks in a row. And it would be really hard to stand up a new pillar RPG game, right? All the launches for the Elder Scrolls series and Fallout, I know you haven't played a bunch of them, are notorious for that kind of Bethesda bug level, and it was almost endearing. And I don't think they get that pass anymore. And so I like that they're taking their time. I would love to see some more information about E3, but that comparison you make to Mass Effect, shout out to the Legendary Edition. That's how I'm spending all of my time these days.
Yeah.
But if it can go more grounded, because I wouldn't want it to be as similar to Mass Effect, because I've already got too many space operas in my life. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Mass Effect, I feel like that genre for me is a little overly crowded. And so if we can get the grounded, gritty aspect of that, that kind of combine the mysticism of Elder Scrolls and the grounded, kind of gritty nature of Fallout, and I'm there for it for sure.
I agree with you. Like, I love Star Wars. I think has kind of shaped my opinion about the way, just sci-fi takes place in space. I liked that, the idea of the used future, and so versus like everything just being so shiny and so Star Trek, right? And I mean, if you like Star Trek, it's fine. It's just, it wasn't really my jam. But and some of the screenshots that we've seen, they definitely lead us in that direction of kind of a used future. Stuff looks like it's been it's got some grime on it. It's a little dusty, and then I think there's even a screenshot of like a helmet, and it looks a little bit makeshift, like there's some wires and it's not just a perfect specimen.
Yeah, I know that Todd Howard actually visited Elon Musk's SpaceX just as kind of like a reconnaissance idea of like, what does space travel look like when it's new? And when you think about anything being built and then it's new infrastructure, it's expensive. And when it's dangerous, it leads to that kind of aging effect. So I'm with you. Like, I love that combination of both some lived in feeling, but also that it feels dangerous. Like, you're out there, and in Mass Effect, you're just whipping around and you never are afraid that your ship might encounter something that will just kind of blow it up. You're like, oh, this spaceship works. And so I think that kind of level of danger gets me intrigued of getting kind of that. They're very good at exploration in their games. And so having that anxiety around exploring would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and if it is Skyrim in space, I can't help but think about the new species that we'll probably meet, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, just coming from Todd's imagination and knowing what he's capable of. Yeah, it gets me very excited. I think the other thing that's, that it seems to be some people are kind of surprised by is the fact that it's, according to Jeff Grubb, it's going to be an Xbox exclusive. And
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't all that shocking to me. I never assumed that Microsoft dropping, $7 billion would just some people were assuming that they were going to play nice like with Minecraft, like they did with Minecraft. But Minecraft is a completely different entity. They want, like, I feel like Minecraft is separate from Xbox, right? Like, it's its own ecosystem, it's its own community, and they want Game Pass subscriptions. And Starfield, day one on Game Pass, is going to drive those. And the great thing is if you are, PlayStation only, by that point, I'm assuming that Xbox Cloud Gaming will be rocking and rolling, and you could play Starfield on your iPad, on your if you have a PC, you're fine. If you're running a Mac, you could probably play it on there, thanks to the cloud gaming.
Yeah.
And that's what Microsoft wants, subscriptions, and they didn't pay $7 billion to just have this game go everywhere.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that mindset, and there's been conjecture for since it was announced, right? Like what will be exclusive, what won't. And I think what's just such a huge paradigm shift that the video game industry and consumers are starting to get their mind around is it's no longer the console versus console, at least from Microsoft's perspective. Like they're creating an ecosystem. And so, like you said, being able to play xCloud, streaming on your laptop or on your phone or on your tablet via Game Pass, they are trying to make that barrier of entry low. Jump in with Ultimate for $15 a month. You can play on your console, you can play on PC, but you can also start streaming. And so I think I think the exclusivity is just within their ecosystem, but their ecosystem is becoming easier and easier to get into.
It absolutely is. And I mean, and when they have the allure of now all these Bethesda games and all of those studios that they purchased, they're going to create, for me, it's been a no-brainer since its launch, because I was such a big fan of Xbox original IP anyway. But now that Bethesda is right there as Xbox exclusive, I mean, it really is the best value in gaming.
Yeah, and I know we're an Xbox Microsoft specific podcast, and I think you agree with me. It's not about console wars, it's just something that we enjoy. And so I think putting myself in the shoes of someone who is in PlayStation's ecosystem or Nintendo's ecosystem or just plays PC, I would start to get, rather than feeling about what will and will not come to my console, like there is no equivalent on PlayStation side at the moment, right? Where if I really love like God of War, I love Uncharted, I want to play these exclusives like Spider-Man, and if there was a subscription service where I could reach into their ecosystem, I would be pretty excited about that if I wasn't able to have 2 consoles or 3 consoles or have a PC. And so I think as we get to that point where there are more ways to play, hopefully the discussion becomes less about exclusives and more about what game you're playing, right?
That sounds like very wishful thinking, but I would love that.
I know. I'm just trying to manifest it into reality. I can just see everyone who's watching just being like, "Oh, he's a bushy-eyed, like bright-eyed kid. That's so cute." But I can dream.
You can.
I can dream, dang it.
Keep those dreams alive. If anybody is dreaming of seeing a updated Grand Theft Auto 5, those dreams are going to become a reality, because November 11th GTA will be enhanced for the Series X, S, and the PS5. So we're going to see 120 hertz. We're going to see 4K. And looks like maybe you've seen some screenshots. Maybe.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that is interesting about this is like our last topic was about two games competing. I think that now Grand Theft Auto is competing with Skyrim to be on the most generations and most devices. You know, not so much in the screenshot department. The details are scarce, you know, but in terms of the enhancements, like I'm wondering, is this to retain their current player base, which has made Grand Theft Auto 5 the most profitable piece of media of all time? I mean, that is compared to Marvel combined. That's compared to Star Wars as a franchise combined. It is a juggernaut. And so, of course, Rockstar wants to keep this going as long as possible. I'm curious, do you think with the enhancements, you talked about the frames, you talked about getting us to 4K. Do you think that's where it stopped? Is this like kind of an easy bump for them, or have they been working on something to upgrade texture packets? Like, are we going to see like a bigger visual enhancement outside of 4K, like some work put in? Because if not, I think it's a great way to keep people inside the ecosystem and grow it a little bit. But for me, I have bought it before, so I have it. I'll go test it out, but I don't think that would sway me. I've got all the FPS boost from the back compat team, so playing Titanfall at 120 4K feels pretty good, and I can bounce between almost 100 titles doing that. So I'm wondering if there's anything special about this release outside of what would seem like maybe just a boost.
Pull up real quick on your Google machine, Grand Theft Auto on PC versus console, and I would assume, if I remember correctly, it is a significant upgrade, and so I'm assuming we're going to see that. I could be wrong, but you're gonna fact check me here, and I think if I remember correctly, GTA 5 on PC is a step above what we had when it first came out. Now, this is like 5 is like a 360 PS3 game. Is it not? Doesn't it go back that far?
It was a shoulder game. Yeah, I played it first on the Xbox 360. It was right at the end of the generation, and I was in. That was even before they had online, and so, which was another big hurdle. I love companies that commit to things that struggle. So we mentioned Fallout 76 earlier, and I think that's in a really great place compared to how it launched and was a challenge for Bethesda.
Sure.
Same thing with GTA Online. That was a mess. You couldn't get into a lobby to try. But yeah, I mean, got to be close to it. When did that release? Almost a decade ago, right?
Got to be close, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to look. I mean, are you going to jump in? Like, is this something that you're interested in? Are you a GTA Online guy or just even a GTA 5 guy?
I've never even played. I've played like, I had to pick up. So I think GTA was on Game Pass, and my daughter started playing it because they love just being able to drive around. They don't really do the campaign or anything like that. Like, I took my daughter out on a jet ski last week, and the first thing she said to me was, "This is better than GTA." Like, those were her exact words.
Well, okay, so your daughter's a genius. Also, that's just a fact. There are very few things in the world better than jet skiing, and I challenge anyone out there. I mean, maybe pizza, jet ski, GTA. That might be on my list, but that's amazing. Yeah, I love that. But yeah, it released in September 17, 2013 was when that game came out. And so I know that they released it on PC, and so you know what? I think that's something that the old brain didn't really revolve on for me, which was being able to play at that PC standard, given PS5 and Xbox Series X and S hardware capabilities. You know what? I think that might be enough to get me to play the campaign, because if you haven't jumped into the campaign, it is super interesting. You revolve around 3 different characters as the story progresses, and it's super interesting. And it leads up to something, the climax is something that is actually the foundation for GTA Online. And so to see where that genesis was is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is a series. Like, again, I just have never really. I remember watching a buddy play like GTA 3 on the PS2, you know, like, and he was just loving it. But I was playing on GameCube. I was playing on Xbox, right? And I never jumped into San Andreas. Like, none of it really. It never really pulled me in. And I was thinking about, like, I have some friends that love doing like the Grand Theft Auto the RP or whatever, right? And they have a great time doing that on stream. And so it might be something that I at least dip my toe in the water, or try to play. I want to experience it in the best way possible. And so I will wait. I will wait until this holiday. And I'm assuming it's going to be like a $10 upgrade, or if you already own it on one of the consoles, they might even just pass it along, but I'm not sure on the details there, and I don't even know if they got into it. So
yeah, I mean, I think that for a lot of people, GTA has been around so long, and you just almost own it like Skyrim. So it's just like, oh, GTA 5 is $10. But I do think I would assume that this is going to be a free upgrade, because the funnel for them is to get you in online and continue to spend. That's the model. So, like, hey, you get this amazing upgrade and experience. You're playing at PC level. Hey, we also have new content coming into Grand Theft Auto Online. Why don't you check it out? Yeah.
And Grand Theft Auto
money is.
It's like a Mario Kart scenario where it's like, it's still one of those games that just sells. Like, it sells all every month. It's still, you're seeing it on the MPDs and that kind of thing. And so it's giving them plenty of time to do GTA 6, which is great, because the longer they have, the better that game is going to be. And when they finally start start talking about 6, it's going to be so hype. And so it could be, maybe 6 is in the next year or two that we start to get announcements, based on the fact that they're putting this update out in November of this year. So
yeah, I mean, maybe it's like now
you're gonna break some people's hearts. You're gonna break some people's hearts,
guy, right now. You know, I mean, they make so much money, and there's such an engaged community, and especially during the previous administration, there was a lot of comments out of that studio and the creative team being like, what would we even make the game about? Like, life has gone beyond satire. And I know that's a surface level comment, but the different projects that can be happening at Rockstar, I'm just curious, like, is it a slow, low build? Because that's what that studio does. It's over the span of 7 years. And so if they were just at the incubation phase about what the game would be about, I wonder how far they got into even just designing systems or an updated engine. I want it. I feel like now I'm making enemies and people being like, you're the worst. You don't like Doom guy. You say GTA 6. You heard it here first. Not coming out. But well, I'm hopeful.
I'll take up arms with you as a villain and say, what if a majority of their focus went into online, and they continued as games as a service, because that's where they're making their money, right? I mean, that's they're making money hand over fist there, and they could expand the world, right? But if they expand that world, that could also be the setting for the 6th game.
Well, you guys all heard it. Josh said that the game isn't coming out and is going to be games of service. I'm going into the role of the hero now. The other optimistic way to look at this is this push this fall to get people in might set them up nicely for next E3 to make some kind of announcement about a roadmap for online, but also 6, upping that player base.
I hate to break it to you, but it's going to be GTA 5 mobile. That'll be the next That'll be the next iteration of GTA 5. And speaking of mobile, Xbox teaming up with, I don't know how to say this. Is it Timai?
You know what? I was gonna do a transition right before you did, and I was like, I don't know how to say that, so I'll let Josh jump on that grenade.
TIMI Studio. They are the
Timai.
Yeah, they're working with they do Call of Duty Mobile, and it's a very very successful game. Like the game does very well. It's actually very well done. I'm not one to really play mobile games, but Call of Duty Mobile is a good time, especially if you have a backbone or one of the other the peripherals that gives you a controller for your mobile device. Like there's a battle royale, there's team deathmatch. It does very well, and it's very well done. So the question is, what do you think we're going to see from Xbox and this partnership?
Well, my social life just took a hit because I think you've convinced me that it's now worthwhile to get a backbone. So
absolutely
thank you
is
for that. Really cool, good friend.
Yep, I got you.
But
I got a code for you too. So xboxnow.tv/backbone if you wanna pick one up. So I think that gives everybody that uses that code $10 in the App Store. So
wow. All right. Cheers. Well, I appreciate that. What are we gonna see though? From Timai Studios partnering with Xbox Game Studio.
Can we still call it Timmy?
What?
Just Timmy Studios?
Timmy?
It's missing an M, I know, but
oh man, it's gonna be a third option that we didn't even think about. There's like a silent J in there. Who's to say?
Right.
You know what? What gets me excited is how this is described as a strategic partnership. And so thinking about all the things that are going around in the world of xCloud and mobile gaming within the Microsoft Xbox ecosystem, and having someone who has the expertise gets me really excited. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some mobilization of IP that belongs to Microsoft that would lend itself well. And so that's interesting. I'm curious, do you have any thoughts about what kind of game content we would see with this type of partnership?
Microsoft does have a Forza mobile game, right? So that's already out, and I believe does fairly well for them. Of course, Halo is the first thing that comes to mind for me. Is
like a exclusively mobile Halo title,
like
set in the universe, or a chronological title entry. What do you think?
Multiplayer. Apex is coming out to mobile. Fortnite was doing great on mobile until everything that's going down with them and Apple, this has been a crazy week. We'll probably touch on that next week. And so I would not be shocked to see a Halo mobile that's not Spartan Assault, those little twin stick shooter games that were out there, but a full on like team deathmatch, something that they've already said that multiplayer for Halo is going to be a free to play.
Yep.
And Apex is a free to play, and now they're doing a separate mobile version. I would not be surprised at all if the free to play multiplayer for Halo made its way to mobile. Now, would that affect Game Pass? Because if people have Game Pass, they could probably play this Halo game on mobile also. So maybe it's... One of the things that Xbox is doing is they are trying to make as many games playable on mobile via Game Pass without having to have a controller. So there's a handful of games that you can use your touchscreen and be able to play. But I do think they are paying attention to what, if it was strictly free to play, that's such a huge audience that then is like, hey, little Timmy wants he wants the guy in Fortnite's newest skin in the Halo multiplayer game.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's more money going into their pockets, right? And
Yeah.
Even outside. So if it was a strictly free to play, because that's the only thing I don't know. What is Halo's multiplayer free to play without Game Pass? I think that is the case.
Yeah.
So
it is.
That would lead me to then still think that there's the possibility for a Halo multiplayer. And I think that I strongly believe that Master Chief is going to regain some of his pop culture icon status with the launch of Infinite. And if they lean into that and put out a Halo mobile game, I think they could crush.
Yeah, I like what you're saying here, mostly because we have look, it's one of the things that's been passing around on Twitter quite a bit, and I think when it got memeified, I finally thought it was funny, but people basically putting so much pressure on Halo to be Infinite, specifically to be this quadruple A mind-melting experience, or else it will fail. But at the base of that, I think there's a kernel of truth. And so when you're talking about like lining up with one of the best mobile dev studios that has experience in first-person shooting, you look at the trends with Apex and everyone, Fortnite being able to play free-to-play mobile, and a whole generation and audience of people who don't look at Master Chief the same way that you and I do. And so it has to be at a level that streamers are engaged with and hit a broad enough audience. And so the decision to go to free to play makes a ton of sense to me. And so now kind of thinking about the direction that Xbox Game Studios has been going in general, I couldn't agree with you more. I think this is, if that's what Timmy Studios, I'm going to immediately after this show, I'm going to go look up how that's pronounced. But Timmy Studios specializes in first-person shooters on mobile, and they need that to go well. And so I completely agree. I think the weird part about this news story, and I know that we're running short on time here, is in a couple of the articles in the press release about this partnership, they mentioned something about new mobile game content. So we could just say that is Halo with some level of optimism. But then they said a brand new game sensory experience. I don't even know what that means. What is a game sensory experience? Is that VR, AR? Is that scratch and sniff stickers? Like, what are we talking about here?
Microsoft, I feel like, has been in the on the forefront for accessibility when it comes to games, and I could see that meaning more than just basically being something that's easily accessible for everybody, no matter what. And that's just where my mind goes, right? Because they do seem like they are leading that charge, and with just games that you could strictly touch a screen with, right? Or possibly then use their accessibility controller that they've put out, right? Like, I really see it being something like that. And I mean, it could also just be PR,
nonsense.
You know what I mean? Like it really depends. But I don't think this is going to be limited to one game. And what I like is that this particular studio, we'll go with we'll go with Taimai. How about that? That's what we'll go with. Taimai Studios, right? They are making mobile games for the hardcore, more or less, right? They're making me take a step back on what I define a mobile game as. I love picking up my Backbone, slapping it on my phone, and being able to play it like a Switch, right? Yeah. Especially, I'm Xbox. If you're listening, I know you're probably not, but I'd really love the invite to cloud, to the beta, okay, for iPhone. I don't know what else to do. here, but please, I play remote play all the time. It's great, but I really want to try the cloud. Just putting that out there. Okay, thank you. So yeah, if a game like maybe like Halo Wars, Gears Tactics, some of those games, you know, there's so many different options for them to choose from that I think it's going to be. Well, we say this all the time. It's an exciting time to be a gamer, right? But like, it really is like things are progressing in ways that like I didn't think I would be talking positively about mobile gaming, yet here we are. You know?
Yeah.
So
Man,
Andy,
life moves so fast. So
it does. It does. Where can people find you?
Yeah, I told you this. I'm new to Twitter. I've been making my own podcast, but you can find me on Twitter. I think that's the easiest place. It's AYE, my name is Andy, or my name is Andy on Twitter. I love talking about video games, so DM me, hit me up about your thoughts, but that's where you can find me. What about you?
What's your podcast?
Oh, my podcast is Lame Boy Games. So you can find that wherever you listen to podcasts, anywhere. It's a general show about the game news across platforms, so PC, Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, and I've got a group of cohort that is a lot of fun to listen to. And so if you're looking for a good time for a few guys who like to make jokes, check it out.
There you go. Guys, you can find me everywhere at N64Josh, and there's now an Xbox Now TV TikTok you guys can go check out. And we're still working on the website. xboxnow.tv is alive and well with articles being released on the regular. So thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye now. Chat, we're still here. Thank you guys for hanging out. What's up, everybody? I don't know if Vans is still here, but what's going on? I think that's Switch Life from Twitch. What's happening, everybody? So glad to see you guys. Thank you for being here with us live. And if you're just lurking, you can't even type anything. I get it. It's all good. I just wanted to say thank you so much for jumping in, for hitting that like button, and this is going to be a regular thing we do on Wednesday mornings. So I'm looking forward to it. The morning show. That's right. I got my Mandalorian coffee mug, and still got a little bit of coffee left. So Xbox and coffee, you know.
How is that possible? How do you have any coffee left?
A little bit, just a little bit.
I think I've been faking it just to get the dopamine hits of the idea of having coffee.
The idea of coffee, yeah. I get it. One of the things that I'm going to start doing, because I'm going to be spending a lot more time driving, is just like my boy Sean Capri, who does I think it's called the Xbox Drive. I think that's the name of his. I'm going to do an interactive show via audio podcast with I'm going to do this on all my platforms, actually, with Nintendo, with Xbox. I'm starting a new venture just called Mr. Side Hustle. I'm just going to talk about all the different ways that I side hustle and just take questions. And it's all going to happen via Anchor. You guys will be able to leave audio recordings that I can then listen to, put into the show, reply to, and then put that show out. And I can do it all while I'm driving. Not the putting the show out, but at least answering the questions. So
do that at a stoplight, yeah.
Yeah. So, so that's going to be happening. So, thank you guys for being here live. We'll see you in the next one. Bye now.
Here's chat.